Tywin Lannister had never feared the dark, yet the hour before dawn seemed to linger with malicious purpose as he sat alone in the Tower of the Hand. A single candle sputtered on the broad oaken desk, pooling trembling gold across the parchment that would upend a dynasty. Outside the arrow-slit windows, the Blackwater lapped against the quay pilings, a low, sullen hiss like some scaled thing dreaming beneath the river's skin. The sounds of the castle were hushed at this hour. A mutter of armored boots far below, the occasional whicker of a restless stallion, the faint click of the winch upon the drawbridge chains as the midnight watch was relieved. Tywin preferred these sleep-shrouded hours. They reminded him of the war camps outside Vulture's Roost when he was little more than a boy commander, when silence had been the crucible in which he'd forged the iron of his resolve. Tonight, however, he tasted an unfamiliar flavor in that silence. An edge of gall, acrid and lingering on the back of his tongue. The letter before him, ink still glistening, carried only 21 words, yet no length of scroll in the Seven Kingdoms could have provoked so ruthless a calculation. His Grace regrets that Ser Jaime Lannister may not be released from his vows, nor granted leave to resign from the Kingsguard. Nothing else. No polite flourishes, no royal seal beyond the hasty splash of green wax, as though even the Targaryen sigil were impatient to be done with the matter. Aerys had spoken, and with that pronouncement Tywin's last pretense of patience burnt away. He leaned back, the old chair groaning beneath the ceremonial weight of crimson velvet and worn gilding. How often had he warned Jaime that the white cloak was a golden cage? The boy, no, the man, had answered none of those warnings, save with that careless smile that reminded Tywin too painfully of Joanna. Joanna. Her name stirred like a ghost behind his ribs, and with it rose the memory of the day she had died birthing their monstrous second son. Tyrion's first wails had still been wet with her blood when the midwife laid him upon Tywin's arms. Some in Casterly Rock still whispered that Tywin had refused to hold the babe, but that was ignorance. He had held the child, held him and felt everything inside his chest turn to scalding lead. Joanna's eyes had been wide-set like sunlit amber. Tyrion's had been mismatched stones dredged from a riverbed, one dark as garnet, the other shot through with veins of green. Joanna's laughter had rung like bells in the tower. Tyrion's first cry had been an accusation. Tywin had loved his wife with a devotion so absolute that, in the same breath which stole her, he believed the gods had mocked him. Yet Joanna's death had not stayed Tywin's hand that night. He, not the wet nurse, had swaddled Tyrion. He, not Maester Crelin, had placed the babe in the cradle of black oak near the hearth. He had only once considered sending the child beneath the waves of the sunset sea, only once, when the grief ran thick and raw as honey over broken glass, and then he had mastered it. The lion did not maim his own cubs for showing crooked claws. Now, almost 2 decades later, Tywin read the king's curt refusal and knew the time had come to avenge every humiliation that life had seen fit to heap upon House Lannister. If Jaime would stubbornly remain a glorified palace guard, Lannister gold would find a sharper heir. If the realm must gape at a dwarf ascending to Casterly Rock, let them choke on their laughter. Tywin had allowed the Seven Kingdoms to believe he despised Tyrion because Tyrion had slandered the Lannister name by his very birth. Tonight he would weaponize that assumption. Let them look upon Tywin the cold, Tywin the pitiless, Tywin who raised a twisted son above a gilded twin, and tremble. He lifted the quill, the black feather's barbs shimmering like a raven's wing, and dipped it into the well of Maester's ink. The testament forming beneath his hand moved with deliberate grace. Each stroke sealing a future Jaime could neither unswear nor unsheathe. I, Tywin of House Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, Shield of Lannisport, Warden of the West. His script flowed steady, free of flourish. The candle burned lower. Tallow dripped onto the polished wood, hissing quietly when it found a scar in the grain. By the time he finished, the castle was stirring with gray twilight. Tywin set the quill aside, dusted the scroll with fine sand, and pressed the lion-headed seal hard enough to leave a ridge through the parchment. When he rose, the long sable cloak echoed the motion, brushing against the stones with a susurrus like a blade drawn from leather. Outside his door Ser Adam Marbrand waited, helm in the crook of one arm, torchlight catching red in the copper coils of his beard. "My lord, summon the Hand's Council at once," Tywin commanded. "Tell Lord Varys and Grand Maester Pycelle I expect them before the hour of the owl is spent. Ser Kevin as well. And Prince Tyrion?" Marbrand's voice held not the faintest quiver, yet his eyes flickered. Even a seasoned knight felt caution where the imp was concerned. "Send a page," Tywin said. "My son is to join us. He may bring no wine." Marbrand bowed. "As you will, my lord." Tywin watched him stride down the corridor, mail chiming softly. A corner of his mouth curled at the first hint of a smile, dangerously close to pleasure. Joanna had once told him his smiles were rare beasts that frightened small folk more than his scowls. Tonight, let the lions roar. Tyrion Lannister dreamed of books. The dream was pleasant. He wandered an impossible library whose shelves bent like willow boughs overhead, each branch dripping with leather spines instead of leaves. He reached up, stretching to pluck a tome of Dornish love poetry, when a colossal red volume groaned and toppled from the canopy. He threw up stubby arms, but the book struck, bursting into pages that fluttered about his head like white moths. One page clung stubbornly to his nose. He peeled it off and found words written in his own slanted hand. "Father summons you." He woke with a grunt, sheets tangled around his legs. Sunlight spilled through parted drapes, far too bright. No wonder. He had collapsed only a few hours past, after draining half a cask of Arbor gold in the company of two supple camp followers who had called themselves Minna and Leos. Their names were perhaps as fictitious as their modesty, but they had played Cyvasse with Tyrion until dawn, in ways that would have scandalized Master Illyrio's most jaded Lysine courtesans. Now, as consciousness clawed him from dreams, an urgent knocking rattled the chamber door. "My lord," squeaked a boy's voice, "Ser Adam bids you attend the Hand's Council." Tyrion cursed in Valyrian, then in the less poetic dialect of Old Town sailors. He slung stubby legs over the bedside, planted his feet upon cold flagstone, and squinted at the dust dancing in sun-slashed air. His head felt stuffed with wet wool. One of the camp followers, Minna or Leos, snored softly beside him, face buried in the pillow. He donned a quilted doublet of crimson damask, left mostly unlaced, and thrust his feet into embroidered slippers shaped like lion heads. Gold thread frayed at the snouts, yet the effect amused him. Splashing water from a silver ewer across his face, he studied his reflection in a polished copper mirror. The mismatched eyes stared back, one green, one as dark as a bruise. "Father will take one look and declare me unfit to sit upon a privy, let alone his counsel." The thought made him smile. All the better. He flung open the chamber door, startling the page into a stammered apology. There, Tyrion said, patting the lad's shoulder. "Lead on. If we move swiftly, I might arrive just late enough to irritate Lord Tywin without missing anything important." The boy scurried ahead, tiny boots clacking. Tyrion followed at a rolling gait made infamous throughout King's Landing. The gait of a man accustomed to compensating for legs half as long as the next fellow's, indifferent to who might laugh. He passed two septons, a gaggle of Lannister guardsmen, and a pair of Tyrell cousins whispering near an arched window. Each offered a stiff nod, or hurriedly glanced elsewhere. Years had taught Tyrion that the eyes of the court were sharpest when they feigned blindness. As he rounded the last corner before the council chamber, a tall knight in white plate barred his path. Ser Boros Blunt sniffed, cheeks puffed like suet. "The small council sits, imp. Do not presume that my father wishes me elsewhere?" Tyrion finished pleasantly. He pointed past the Kingsguard's paunch. "Your colleague Ser Mandon stands yonder. Kindly consult him on the wisdom of underestimating me." Blunt flushed an unbecoming shade of beet. During the Blackwater he had abandoned King Joffrey in the chaos. Tyrion had seen to it that the whisper spread in every noble hall from Harrenhal to Highgarden. Cowardice weighed heavier than gilded mail. Ser Boros stepped aside with a muttered oath. Tyrion strolled through the heavy double doors into the council chamber. The long table of polished oak, carved into the shape of Westeros, seemed more crowded than usual. At one end sat Varys, gloved hands folded, eyes half-lidded like a sleepy cat's. Grand Maester Pycelle hunched beside him, beard trailing in a bowl of dried figs he had apparently forgotten to eat. Ser Kevan Lannister filled the seat nearest the hand's chair, calm as a marble statue. And at the head, towering, rigid Lord Tywin. Tyrion offered a sweeping bow, nearly tripping on his own sleeve. "Am I late? Forgive me. My donkey lost a shoe and refused to gallop." Tywin's golden eyes bored holes through him. "Seat." That single word carried the weight of knighthoods revoked, castles razed, and fortunes lost. Tyrion hopped into the chair opposite Pycelle. Varys smiled, a flicker so quick it might have been imagined. Tywin unrolled a parchment. "By the authority vested in me as Lord of the Rock, Warden of the West, and Hand of the King, I hereby declare the following. Jaime Lannister, having forsworn all titles and inheritance by vows to the Kingsguard, is henceforth removed from the line of succession of House Lannister." A silence thickened, sticky as sap. Even Pycelle ceased his wheezing. Tyrion's heart executed a thump so mighty, he feared the whole chamber would hear. He steadied his outward expression into mild curiosity. Tywin continued, "Until such time as Ser Jaime is released from his vows, an event I deem unlikely, he shall be granted no lands, no incomes, and no standing within the affairs of the Rock." Ser Kevan's face twitched. Varys inclined his head. Tyrion felt the room spin, though whether from wine's lingering grip or the enormity of the words, he could not be certain. "Furthermore," Tywin said, voice flat as an anvil, "it is my will that Tyrion Lannister, son of my body, shall be named my lawful heir. He shall succeed to Casterly Rock, Lannisport, and all titles and offices held by House Lannister upon my death." Pycelle gasped, clutching his chest as though ravens had nested there. Varys raised two hairless brows. "Ser Kevan stared at Tyrion, unreadable." Tyrion blinked. For once, words deserted him. A slow roar built in his ears, like surf upon distant cliffs. The council table blurred. He had dreamed, impossibly, foolishly dreamed, of a day when his father might acknowledge him as more than an embarrassment, yet never had he imagined such abrupt coronation. Tywin laid down the parchment and fixed Tyrion with that burning, lion stare. "You will accept." Tyrion found his tongue. "I might first inquire, why me, father?" "Because you are what remains," Tywin said coldly. "And because the Rock must endure." The door swung open. Cersei Lannister swept in, golden hair unbound, green eyes blazing. She had not been summoned, evidently. Rage lent her the right. "Father," she said, voice quivering, "tell me I misheard the servants. Tell me you did not just disinherit Jaime." Tywin's silence answered. Cersei's gaze snapped to Tyrion, a viper-scenting heat. "You." The word was venom. "This is your doing." Tyrion spread his hands. "Sister dear, I was as surprised as you." "Lies." She advanced, skirts rustling like autumn leaves. "You have manipulated our father's grief, wormed your way into his pride." Tywin rose, the movement abrupt enough to hush Cersei mid-stride. "Enough. Cersei, you will leave us." "I will not," she said, though color drained from her cheeks. "Jaime is your brother," Tywin finished, "and my son. Yet even for him the laws of inheritance remain. The Kingsguard vow precludes fatherhood, lands, or titles. He chose his white cloak. Tyrion will choose the Rock." Cersei's lips trembled. "No dwarf will rule over me." "If that troubles you," Tywin said, "marriage into another house remains an avenue." The hint was dagger-sharp. Cersei had refused every match Tywin arranged, clinging to dreams of climbing atop the Iron Throne by Joffrey's regency. Tyrion watched, fascinated, as her fury warred with calculation behind those emerald eyes. "I will speak with Jaime," she said at last, jaw clenched. She turned on heel, gown swirling like a banner caught in turbulent wind, and left without another word. Tywin resumed his seat. "The matter stands. You, Tyrion, will depart for Casterly Rock within the fortnight. Ser Kevin accompanies you as Castellan until your succession is formalized. Now, Tyrion managed. King's Landing remains a tangle of vipers. Might I not? No, Tywin's tone allowed no cracks. The rock requires its heir. Varys interlaced his soft fingers. May I offer congratulations, my Lord Tyrion? Tyrion gave a brittle laugh. If you insist, Lord Varys. Though I find the crown a touch weighty for so misshapen a brow. Pycelle stroked his beard as though seeking hidden counsel therein. The dwarf as Lord of Casterly Rock, he muttered. Unnatural. Tyrion shot him a glare. Perhaps I'll start by raising the Maester's tower and hiring physicians who smell less of decay. Pycelle opened and closed his mouth, affronted. Tywin rapped knuckles upon the table. This council is dismissed. The weeks following the decree unfolded like a tapestry none quite knew how to read. Word flew on raven wings from the capital, feathered rumors landing in every great hall. In Riverrun, Lord Hoster's Maester scoffed at tales of Tywin's madness. In Sunspear, Prince Doran weighed possibilities behind sun-dappled shutters. At Highgarden, Mace Tyrell laughed so loudly the bees in the rose gardens fell silent. Only in Casterly Rock did the news barefoot itself along cold stone with muted dread. Tyrion's litter crawled across the riverlands, trailed by a column of Lannister guardsmen whose crimson cloaks steamed under late winter rain. Tyrion asked one night, swirling wine in a pewter cup, "Do I frighten them?" "You unsettle," Kevin admitted. They expected a lion's roar, not the purr of a dwarf, Tyrion supplied. Kevin's sigh curled into the cold. Not Joanna's laughter either. The mention of his mother struck deeper than Tyrion liked. He drained the cup. Then we shall teach them a new music. When at last Casterly Rock rose upon the horizon. Great ribs of stone carved into jagged peaks, banners whipping red and gold. Tyrion felt an ache behind his eyes. The castle had loomed throughout his childhood like some distant constellation. Visible, unreachable, cold with scorn. Approaching now, he wondered whether its gates would open as to a son or to a stranger. A trumpet sounded. Portcullis groaned upward. Ser Kevin rode ahead, heralding the air. Tyrion descended from the litter beneath a gray sky that smelled of sea salt and old iron. A hush fell across the courtyard, broken only by gull cries. Stepping onto ancestral ground, Tyrion felt a tremor pass through the rock beneath his boots, as though the mountain itself were deciding whether to accept his heartbeat. He bowed theatrically to no one in particular. "My lords and ladies, your humble host stands before you. Tyrion of House Lannister, once belittled by birth, now belorded by decree." His voice drifted, unanswered. Then a laugh rang, a sharp, youthful peal. From a knot of retainers stepped young Willem Lannister, son of Ser Kevin. 14, red-haired, bright-eyed. He knelt. "Welcome home, cousin." Tyrion's own laughter joined his, short and grateful. "Thank you, Willem. I accept." One by one, others followed. Stewards, smiths, even the portly Septon. Their loyalty felt tentative like fresh mortar, yet it held. Tyrion walked amongst them, nodding, memorizing names. Pride stirred again, this time not brash but solemn. That night, he dined in the great hall beneath a ceiling carved into a sea of stone lions. Long tables overflowed with suckling pig, honeyed duck, heaps of candied oranges. He addressed the gathering with wry wit, recounting travails of the capital, offering toasts to miners and herdsmen who filled Lannister coffers. Laughter rippled. A start. Later, alone in the solar once occupied by his mother, Tyrion surveyed ledgers by candlelight. Copperplate lines marched across parchment like ranks in formation. Profits had waned these past 2 years. A new vein of gold was rumored depleted. Grain prices across the reach had risen after late frosts. Tyrion tugged at his beard. Numbers were a language he spoke better than any noble here, numbers and need. "Father chose me for more than spite," he murmured to the silent room. "He chose the mind that will keep these walls standing." Yet even as resolve hardened, A seed of dread took root. How long until Jaime returned in secret rage? How soon before Cersei found some wicked thread to unravel his newfound tapestry? He pressed quill to ink, drafting letters, to the Iron Bank of Bravos, to trading captains in Pentos, to Lady Olenna Tyrell with cunning praise of her roses. Each message a stone set into fresh foundation. When dawn bled gold across Lannisport below, Tyrion sealed the last letter with scarlet wax. He gazed upon the imprint, a lion rampant, and whispered, "Watch me, father." Far to the east in King's Landing, Jaime Lannister stood atop the ramparts of Maegor's Holdfast, wind raking golden hair across his brow. The letter from Tywin crumpled in his fist, parchment edges cutting his palm. Disinherited, cast aside like a broken sword, he stared at the distant rooftops, breath misting. Somewhere beyond those tiled mazes, Cersei schemed. He knew her fury intimately, a twin to his own. Yet there was more than fury in his chest. There was a hollow the size of Casterly rock, an emptiness where fatherly approval had once rested, however faint. Ser Barristan Selmy approached, white cloak billowing like winter's first snow. "Ser Jaime," he greeted softly, "the hour of sword practice approaches. Shall I expect you?" Jaime kept his gaze upon the city. "Not today, Lord Commander. Your thoughts weigh heavily." Selmy's voice was gentle iron. "I have seen knights falter beneath burdens not their own." Jaime almost laughed. "Mine is precisely my own." He opened his fingers, letting the wind seize the shredded letter. "Tell me, Lord Command, have you ever regretted your vows?" Selmy's blue eyes clouded. "Each man swears for reasons that shape him. I regret only moments where my sword arm failed those I swore to protect. Then perhaps I should regret none of this." Jaime motioned to the drifting parchment. "Yet I do. Gods help me, I do." Selmy placed a weathered hand upon Jaime's shoulder. "Your father may yet see wisdom. Blood pulls stronger than parchment." Jaime knew better. Tywin's will was granite. Jaime's choice to serve Aerys had once been defiance. Now it felt like a chain. He clenched his jaw. "Thank you, my lord. I'll attend practice on the morrow." Selmy bowed and departed. Jaime remained, watching gulls wheel over the Blackwater. For the first time since donning white, he contemplated what life might have been had he refused the cloak. Yet the Kingsguard's vows were etched deeper than flesh. To father no children, to hold no lands, to serve for life. He imagined Tyrion perched upon the rock's gilded perch, voice like razors, eyes bright with challenge. A surge of bitter affection surprised him. Tyrion had always fought to be seen. Now the world had no choice. Jaime turned away from the parapet. He would write to his brother, not with anger but with truth. Let the realm see what the sons of Tywin might yet forge between swords and quills. The moons marched across a restless year. Tyrion's stewardship blossomed. New tunnels were dug beneath Castemir's collapsed mines, striking rich veins of silver. Trade pacts with Myr imported fine lace and exported Westerland steel. Orphanages in Lannisport gained funding from taxes shaved off lords who had grown complacent. Tyrion hosted feasts where miners dined beside merchants, carefully chosen to display his largesse to all classes. Whispers transformed. The imp became Lord Tyrion in taverns and guild halls. Some jested that he kept ledgers nearer his heart than any woman, but others spoke of his readiness to share ale with sellswords, to listen to fisherwives recite woes about tariffs on salt. Ser Kevin soon reported declining grumblings among vassal houses. Even Lord Westerling, proud and slippery, offered a marriage alliance. His daughter Cybele's youngest, shy as a dormouse. Tyrion politely declined but sent barrels of Arbor Red to Westerling's holdfast. Relations warmed. At King's Landing, Cersei maneuvered desperation like a poisoned knife. She tried cajoling Tommen into pleading for his uncle's restoration. She flattered Pycelle into drafting treatises on Lannister succession. She whispered to the High Septon of Deformity as a sign of godly curse. Yet each gambit foundered upon Tywin's stony refusal. One moonless night, she confronted their father in his private solar. "You have condemned our house," she hissed. The realm laughs behind closed doors. They call us half-men's kin. Tywin's quill did not pause. Let them chatter. They will choke upon that laughter when the rock's coffers overflow again. You stake our legacy on a wretch born of freakish fate. He folded the parchment, sealed it. I stake our legacy on intellect. Jaime chose honor over inheritance. You chose vanity over duty. Tyrion chooses the survival of House Lannister, and thus he is my heir. Cersei's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Anger distilled to something brittle. I will not kneel to him. Then you will kneel to poverty, Tywin replied. And poverty is the cruelest lord in all the 7 kingdoms. She fled, wounded. Tywin exhaled, the sound like steel cooling in water. He had hardened himself long ago, yet sometimes, in the quiet spaces between heartbeats, he wondered whether Joanna would forgive the choices forged in her absence. At Casterly Rock, Tyrion walked tunnels dark as a dragon's throat, lantern held high. The salt tang of the western sea seeped through cracks in stone, mingling with the scent of damp earth. Beside him strode Bronn, Sellsword captain, blades jangling. The new vein looks promising, Bronn remarked, torch throwing jagged shadows. But more promising are the traps. No man could sneak a foot without losing it. Tyrion grinned. Ever the optimist. I built the traps because optimism attracts thieves. They reached a cavern where miners chipped at glittering walls. Dwarves of stone hammered at dwarves of flesh. Tyrion felt the old jest before Bronn could speak it. He stepped onto a narrow scaffold, surveyed the raw ore. Gold veins glimmered in the lamplight like the pathways of some celestial map. A foreman approached, hair caked white with dust. My lord, we've breached a pocket rich as any we've seen. If half proves true, yields will triple. See that safety matches ambition, Tyrion said. Lives cost more than gold. Rays pay 2 groats a week. New helmets, lanterns of gemstone glass. The foreman gaped, then bowed. Tyrion's policies baffled men accustomed to lords who squeezed coin until coffins rattled. Yet loyalty bought with comfort rarely tarnished. Above ground, he penned letters to bravos regarding loans to build a drydock at Lannisport capable of holding 4 war galleys at once. He hired artisans from Volantis to craft precision pumps, netting spilled or with less waste. He wrote to Sansa Stark in the Vale, offering condolences for Robb's death, though the wolf was yet alive then, and pledging trade of wool for western timber. Each move a thread. As the realm shifted, so too did alliances. Stannis Baratheon's fleet, still smoldering from Blackwater defeat, turned north. The Tyrells poured grain into King's Landing, shoring Joffrey's crown. Amid this dance, whispers spread that Casterly Rock was no longer a fortress of pride, but a forge of policy. One crisp autumn dusk, a raven arrived bearing Jaime's crest. Tyrion read the letter thrice. Little brother, it began. News of your governance reaches even the white walls I guard. I will not pretend father's decision sat well upon my shoulders, yet I see the sense in it. The rock prospers, and for that I am glad. Serve our house well. One day, perhaps, my sword and your quill shall shield the realm together. Tyrion folded the parchment slowly. A warmth bloomed in his chest, mingled with sorrow. Together, he thought. One day, that night, he climbed the highest balcony, where sea wind lashed his hair. Below, lanterns twinkled across Lannisport, reflections trembling upon black water. He raised a goblet toward the sky. To the lions, he toasted, voice nearly lost in surf and wind. Golden, maimed, or damned, long may we roar. He drank, deep, and somewhere across leagues and politics, Jaime Lannister felt his ears burn. Winter came early upon the Westerlands. Snow dusted the high passes, turning red banners pale beneath frost. Tyrion rode patrols along the coast, examining watchtowers, meeting fisherfolk who spoke of ironborn raids years past. He ordered construction of beacon pyres along headlands, crews of archers trained to light signals within breaths. In the rock's libraries, he uncovered an ancient text describing a collapsed silverwork beneath the sea road. He dispatched engineers to excavate. They discovered tunnels connecting to the famed gold seams of Tarbeck Hall, lost since Tywin's brutal suppression of that house. Revenues surged. Letters from King's Landing brought tidings of Joffrey's marriage plans, of northern campaigns, of Cersei's simmering hostilities. Tywin wrote seldom but with pointed praise for increased incomes. Tyrion savored those sparse words more than any vintage. One evening at table, Ser Kevan addressed him before the assembled household. "You have brought prosperity our house has not known in years." He lifted a silver goblet. "To Lord Tyrion, heir of Casterly Rock." Cups clanged, voices echoed. Some drank hesitantly, yet they drank. Tyrion raised his own, smiling less like a jester and more like a lord. Yet he did not blind himself to shadows. Reports reached him of bandit companies gathering in the hills near Castamere. Descendants of those Tywin had once drowned beneath floodgates. They carried no banners yet, but sang dirges of red lions drowned in redder clay. Tyrion dispatched ravens offering amnesty if they laid down arms. Most spat upon the message, so he hired sellswords, not for slaughter but for surveillance. Knowledge was the blade he favored. Bronn returned one dusk bearing scrolls. The bandit chief calls himself the Castamere Lion, claims to be a bastard of Lady Ellen Rain. Tyrion snorted. Bastard or bard? He'll find few recruits once winter snows snuff their fires. He paused. Still, keep eyes upon him. Outlaws desperate for cause can become rebels if given myth to slake thirst. His strategy remained: by loyalty with fairness, deter rebellion with cunning, and let gold speak louder than lineage. 3 years slipped by as though the seasons conspired to quicken. Westeros endured civil wars and assassinations, weddings of crimson hues and dragons of rumor. Through it all, Casterly Rock thrummed, a heart fortified by a dwarf's unlikely pulse. Then came a raven cloaked in storm-cloud feathers. It bore the tall sigil of House Lannister, yet the ink inside was Tywin's blood writ bare. Your sister seeks alliances beyond the reach. Should she succeed, our foes may unite in ways coin alone cannot splinter. I require your counsel at court. Bring records of our coffers and any proposals to secure the Iron Throne's debts. Ride with haste. Tyrion stared long at the words, the summons he had both feared and desired, a chance to wield his newfound authority beneath the Iron Throne. But the capital was a pit of vipers, and he now carried the rock upon his shoulders. Leaving meant entrusting stewardship to others and facing Cersei. He convened a midnight council in the Lion's Den, a smaller chamber ringed with carved feline heads. Ser Kevan, Bronn, and Maester Bormund attended. Tyrion spoke while pacing small strides. I ride for King's Landing. Kevan will act as Castellan. Bronn, the hill tribes respect your knives. Drill them as auxiliary scouts along the coast. Maester, track or yields weekly. Any dip larger than a quarter weight, send raven.
Ser Kevan Nadid.
You step into Dragon's fire, nephew. Are you certain? Tyrion laughed softly. Certain as any man marching to a wedding in Westeros. Yet father commands, and where he leads, gold follows. Bronn smirked. Can't say I fancy the capital's stench, but coin's coin. Keep a purse fat for me, my lord. Tyrion clapped him on the shoulder. Earn it by keeping my mines fat. He ascended the winding stairs to his chambers, lanterns swaying shadows over tapestries. Packing required little. Quills, inks, ledgers, a black vellum book containing debts owed to the crown. He lingered last upon his desk. A figurine sat there, a lion and a dwarf carved of driftwood, entwined. Willem had gifted it. Tyrion tucked it into his cloak's inner pocket. In the small hours before dawn, he mounted a shaggy red stallion, banner of the Golden Lion snapping overhead. From the battlement's miners, merchants, and pages waved torches as farewell. He raised a hand. Guard the rock, Bronn shouted back. And guard your head. Hooves clattered down the switchback road. The seaside below eternal. Tyrion did not look back. He rode toward a city where laughter stabbed sharper than daggers and where siblings could become foes or saviors in the turning of a coin. In the capital, Tywin awaited, the father who had forged him a crown of necessity and thorn. Cersei awaited, sister of venom. Jaime awaited, brother of conflicted honor. And in the shadows beyond the Red Keep, the realm's secrets coiled, ready to strike. Tyrion Lannister pressed knees to the stallion's flanks, heart drumming. He had been born a joke, raised a curse, named a monster. Now he would stride into the lion's den wearing all three, and wield them as armor. The King's Road unfurled before him, a ribbon of gray under a waning moon. Each mile beat beneath his steed's hooves echoed a new truth. I am heir of Casterly Rock. Let the world tremble or laugh, either will fund my purpose. And somewhere, deep in the marrow of the western hills, the Castamere lion sharpened rusted blades, dreaming of rebel songs ringing through caverns old as House Lannister itself. Winter whispered along the wind's edge. The game, as ever, was afoot. The King's Road shimmered beneath a thin skin of hoarfrost, each rime-crusted stone catching the wan dawn and scattering it back in shards of chill silver. Tyrion rode at the head of his column, cloak snapped close against the wind, the lion sigil on its crimson field now darkened by a sheen of road dust. His stallion's breath puffed in white plumes. Hooves thunked a tugging, steady cadence that folded itself into Tyrion's pulse until horse and rider felt forged of the same stubborn iron. The dwindled years of peace had left the great highway pitted and littered with cart ruts, yet Tyrion noted a curious hush hanging over the roadside villages, an expectancy, as if even the crows chose to watch this Westbourne company unfold. He gave them a show, bronze breastplate polished, belt sagging with ledger scrolls in lieu of blade. He answered each curious stare with a two-fingered salute and a half-smile that might, with effort, pass for warmth. At midday their path knifed through a spindle of birch where the sun could only glance in thin spears between naked branches. There Bronn guided his destrier alongside and flicked reins, eyeing the woods. "Quiet," the cell's word muttered. "Too damned quiet. I've heard taverns after a plague cough louder than this." Tyrion shrugged beneath his fur mantle. Perhaps the trees have taken vows of silence, a noble calling. Bronn's glower traveled the treeline. Or perhaps bandits know a Lannister purse when they smell one. He was not wrong. A bend ahead, the first shafted arrow hissed past Tyrion's ear close enough that he felt its fletching kiss his cheek. The shaft thunked into a trunk, quivering. Bronn had his blade half out before the next arrow streaked. This one lodged in the haunch of Ser Kevin's gelding, sending the animal rearing in agony, eyes rolling. Chaos erupted. Outlaws poured from the brush. Ragged men in patchwork saltskins dyed dull crimson, the color of dried blood. Their leader wore a rust-red cloak sewn with a crude golden lion, its mane unraveled and wild. As he advanced, his war cry boomed. Red lions drowned bright, for Castamere. So the rumors were true. The ghost of Lady Ellen's last vengeance had found flesh. Tyrion felt an odd, clinical detachment as he assessed distances. 20 bandits, perhaps 25, most armed with boar spears and chipped axes. His guardsmen outnumbered them, but not by wide margin. He would need more than steel. He would need story. He wheeled his stallion until it blocked the road, planting gloved hands on the pommel. "Hold!" he shouted, voice cutting through clamor with a surprising crack of authority. The clang of swords paused as if the very trees leaned inward. The red-cloaked leader stalked nearer, spear leveled. Under the grime he was lean, fox-faced, maybe 25. Hate smoldered in his black eyes. "The rock's gold spends easy," he growled. "Castamere tastes blood again tonight, imp." Tyrion considered, then inclined his head. "And why should Castamere gorge on scraps when I might set a banquet? Who are you that feasts upon the dead past?" "I am Reynard Waters Rain," the man said, chin high, "bastard of Ellen's line." A whisper rippled among Tyrion's retinue. Bronn's sword hovered. Tyrion lifted a gloved palm. "Well met, Ser Bastard, though I see no knight's spurs." He nudged the stallion one pace forward. "Tell me, Reynard, what price bought your men? Coin? Vengeance? A promise scrawled in idle blood?" Reynard spat onto frosted moss. "The price was screamed by every child drowned in your grandsire's flood." Lannister fathers kill. Sons must answer. Tyrion drew a breath that burned his lungs. Then kill this son. Coin will spill from my pockets, but I promise you. He leaned closer in saddle, voice dropping. The song you seek unearths new verses. Flood my corpse, and my father will shove rivers through every hill from here to Fair Isle. Is that the legacy you crave? More bones for the deep. Reynard hesitated. The spear tip dipped an inch, not enough to surrender, not enough to strike. Behind him his men shifted, indecisive. Tyrion pressed. I offer another legacy. Lay down arms, kneel, take my pardon. You spoke of banquet. Well, I have mines to dig, tunnels to engineer, towns to rebuild. Serve. Earn coin that is neither tainted by tomb water nor clogged with ash. The rock can be your Castamere reborn, if you've wits to see gold beyond ghosts. The bastard's eyes narrowed. Pretty words. A dwarf's riddle. Tyrion unstrapped a small pouch and tossed it underhand. It landed at Reynard's feet with a muffled clink. The outlaw crouched, loosened strings, poured a stream of shining silver half-dragons into his palm. His bandits murmured. Tyrion's voice carved a steady path. First month's wage. Yours if you escort my party safely to King's Landing. Thereafter, equal coin for equal labor at Casterly Rock. Reynard's fingers closed around the payoff. In that moment, choice flickered across his face. Fury, avarice, perhaps the smallest crest of hope. Slowly he straightened, lowered his spear. And if I refuse? Then you will force me to kill men who might have been profitable. Tyrion's tone was mild as falling snow. I dislike waste. Reynard let out a breath that ghosted in the air. The red of the rains will not kneel to gold again. No, Tyrion agreed. You will rise with it. He gestured toward the King's Road. March at my flank. Show the realm how Castamere's sons keep faith better than nobles grown fat. A long beat. Then Reynard thrust the spear but into frozen ground. Knelt. One knee only, head unbowed, but kneeling all the same. We ride for the rock, he declared. His company followed, 20 spears thudding earth in ragged unison. Tyrion exhaled, relief as sharp as birch sap. He touched boot to stirrup, guiding his stallion onward. Bronn rode alongside once more, eyebrow arched. Hire the bastards who planned to slit our throats? Hire or bury, Tyrion said softly. Employment costs less than tombstones. So does betrayal. Tyrion's smile was thin. Ah, but betrayal pays worst of all when contracts sing louder than songs of drowning. They moved on, one mixed tide of red and gold, leaving broken birch branches as silent witness to gold's strange gravity. The smell of King's Landing slapped them days later. Rotting fish, mulled wine, smoke, and the deeper, older stench of too many bodies packed behind walls that sagged like old leather. Even Tyrion, accustomed to the city's tang, felt it anew after years of western sea air. He pinched nostrils as they wound past Spicer's Gate, Reynard's men drawing curious eyes. Inside the Red Keep, the courtyards bustled with Tyrell servants stringing garlands in winter colors. Pale blue wisteria and evergreen fronds, no doubt some upcoming feast to stamp Tyrell banners deeper into the capital. Tyrion dismounted before the Tower of the Hand. Ser Adam Marbrand hurried down marble steps. My Lord Tyrion, he said, voice kept politely neutral. Lord Tywin awaits in the Solar of Justice. Justice, Tyrion echoed. Let's hope he doesn't intend to meet it firsthand. Marbrand's lips twitched, but he said nothing as he guided Tyrion through halls of veined red marble. The Solar's door loomed, black oak banded with brass lions. Marbrand knocked. From within, Tywin's voice called, Enter. Ryan adjusted his doublet, forced breath steady, and stepped inside. Golden lamplight pooled across a map-strewn table where Tywin stood, spine arrow straight. Beside him hovered Lord Peter Baelish, half-smile ever ready, and Maester Pycelle, beard snowing onto parchment. Opposite them, seated with brazen ease, reclined Mace Tyrell, cheeks flushed, fingers drumming. The scene froze upon Tyrion's entrance, like a tableau chipped from amber. Tywin's gaze speared his son. You made speed. Bandits make fine outriders when properly bribed, Tyrion quipped, approaching. He inclined his head to Tyrell. Lord Mace, a pleasure. Mace huffed. Your father admires your fiscal creativity. We shall see if it extends to royal ledgers. Tywin gestured to a vacant high-backed chair of black walnut. Seat. Tyrion obeyed. The table's surface was chaos. Accounts columns, harbor toll projections, lists of debts to Bravos, Norvos, even Karth. He recognized some figures. Others seemed new and dire. Tywin tapped one scroll. The crown owes 3 million dragons to the Iron Bank. Interests compound. We must renegotiate terms before they call the debt. Baelish interjected, voice silky. The Tyrell alliance has furnished grain, not gold. The bank grows restless. Tyrion traced a finger along the parchment, mind whirring. My mines produce 15,000 marks a moon at current yield. Increase extraction by 8%. Feasible if we expand the new tunnels and we cover interest. But the principal demands heftier coin. He flicked eyes to Tyrell. Highgarden's gold-plated harvest profits could. Mace flushed crimson. We feed the city, dwarf, not bleed purse. Tyrion smiled politely. Then perhaps we ask dragons who demand less interest. Volantine Triarchs thirst for influence in the narrow sea. Offer them limited docking rights at Storm's End for a low-interest tranche. Pycelle blew through whiskers. Volantis? Slaver scum. Slaver coins, Tyrion corrected. Spend the same. And Storm's End languishes unused. The Baratheon fleet is sunk. Let us turn idle harbors into vaults. Tywin watched the exchange, face unreadable. Finally he spoke. Draft the proposal. Present it to the small council within 3 days. Tyrion bowed his head. Done. Mace Tyrell rose, tugging doublet into place. If that concludes, Lady Marjorie expects me. He swept from the room, Baelish gliding behind like a sly shadow. Pycelle tottered out last. The door clicked. Father and son stood alone. The hush thickened. Tywin's jaw clenched, lines mapping years of war and rule. Your journey was untroubled? A minor skirmish, Tyrion replied. I hired the skirmishers. Tywin nodded once, almost approval. Cersei must not know until they are secured west. She would brand them traitors. She already brands me. Tywin's gaze flickered to the ledgers. You bring results. Sentiment is for fools with empty coffers. Tyrion almost laughed. High praise. He stepped closer, lowered his voice. Father, I fear for your health. Tywin's brow creased. I am fit. Yes, but fit men still die when daggers roam nights. Cersei's whispers sharpen daily. You must watch your bathwater and your wine. A muscle in Tywin's cheek ticked. Whether annoyance or acknowledgement Tyrion could not know. Leave Cersei to me. Tyrion tilted head. Let me help. I can outplot her. Tywin's golden eyes bored into his mismatched pair. At length he spoke quietly. You may try, but remember, family comes before all. Tyrion's mouth tasted of ash. Does it, father? He gestured toward scrolls. Or is gold the truer firstborn? Tywin turned away, gaze drifting over the city lights beyond arched windows. Gold ensures family endures. Tyrion swallowed words that crowded his throat. After a beat, he bowed stiffly and left. Cersei's apartments sunk in perfume thick as honey left in midsummer sun. Tyrion pushed through silken curtains to find his sister reclining upon a couch of golden velvet. Hair spread like spilled mead across cushions. Her eyes flicked open. Emerald ice. How bold of you to enter, she murmured. He folded arms. We are family. She rose fluidly, gown cascading in forest green folds. Family? You usurp Jaime's birthright and call it family? Tyrion examined a jeweled decanter on a side table, feigning casual. That was father's decree. I merely obey. Obey or orchestrate. Do not toy with me, little brother. I see your schemes. She stalked close enough he smelled rosewater beneath spiced wine. I warned father you would use gold to weave webs. He refuses to listen. I weave nets, not webs, he said, meeting her gaze. Webs catch flies, nets haul whales. Her laughter was brittle glass. And who is your whale? The realm's debt, Cersei snorted. You think accounting tricks make a lord? She traced a nail down his embroidered sleeve. Kings rise on swords and shadows, not ledgers. Ledgers by the swords, Tyrion reminded. But let us speak frankly. Father grows weary of your, how shall I phrase, ventures with certain faith-militant envoys. They sniff corruption. Cersei's expression shuddered. You know nothing. I know you funded smiths to forge 7-pointed stars for 200 cells, words sworn under a crooked septon. I know the coin came through brothels you seized from Baelish. I know your chosen high septon savors more than piety. Her nails dug crescent moons into her palms. Spies. Eyes, Tyrion corrected gently. Eyes look both ways. I could speak of these dealings at small council or keep silent. He shrugged. In exchange for cordiality. Rage vibrated in her voice. You blackmail your own blood. Survival, dear sister. He stepped back, bowed stiffly. Think on it. He turned to leave. Cersei's voice followed, low and venomous. You may wear the rock's mantle, Tyrion, but you will never shed the skin of what you are. He paused at the curtain. What I am keeps you on a throne cushioned by coin. Pray I remain so. He did not look back. That night, Tyrion sought Jaime in the White Tower. He found him in the armory chamber polishing a longsword. Moonlight spilled across polished steel. Jaime's golden hair glimmered. He glanced up, face softening. Little brother. He sheathed the blade, crossed the room, embrace half-formed. Tyrion accepted, awkward beneath pauldrons. Jaime stepped back. I expected you sooner. Bandits, Tyrion said. I hired them. Jaime chuckled. Only you. He motioned toward a bench. They sat. Silence settled, comfortable, heavy with unspoken childhood nights. Tyrion spoke first. Letters bridge distance poorly. I wanted your voice. Jaime rubbed thumb across sword pommel. And I yours. Cersei plots. Father commands. The city festers. He sighed. I am caught between cloak and blood. Not for the first time. Jaime's smile was sad.
No.
But stakes climb. If father falls, 7 forbid, Cersei will tear the realm for power. Your presence helps. Tyrion tipped head. Yet father warns me to guard against her. Jaime's eyes glimmered. As do I. She loves fiercely. Some might say blindly. Blind love begets sharp knives. Tyrion felt the weight of that truth settle like a stone in his gut. Will you stand between us? Jaime's gaze drifted to the Kingsguard oath etched on wall plaques. Loyalty, honor, obedience. I will stand for what keeps the realm whole. That, dear brother, may yet prove impossible. Jaime laid a hand on Tyrion's shoulder. Then we forge new possibilities. 3 days later, the small council convened in the echoing throne room antechamber. Tyrion unfurled his proposal like a commander spreading battle maps. Tywin sat at the table's head, Baelish at his elbow, Varys gliding in late smelling of lilac. Mace Tyrell looked bored until numbers poured like wine. Tyrion spoke clear and unhurried. Storm's End will lease deep harbor rights to Volantene consortiums in exchange for 2 million dragons. Low interest, repayable over 15 years. Dock tariffs funnel half to the crown, half to Storm's End garrison rebuild. The Iron Bank receives immediate partial repayment, easing tensions, improving credit. Baelish tapped lips. Volantis grows bold in slave expansion. Our moralists may protest, Tyrion finished. So we also negotiate with Cohor to purchase 100 master smiths at premium wages, not chains. Their arrival offsets cries of collusion with slavers by demonstrating free labor opportunities. Mace Tyrell perked up. Smiths forge swords. Smiths forge rose-studded armor, Tyrion corrected pleasantly. Tywin's voice cut through. Objections. Baelish's grin flickered. None significant. Varys folded hands in voluminous sleeves. The realm's purse has not seen such imagination in many years. Tyrell exhaled. Very well. Tywin struck the table softly. Approved. As scrollwork rustled, Cersei swept in unannounced, gown of white and gold, eyes narrowed. Approved? She echoed. Without the queen's assent? Tywin eyed her. Debt waits for no crown. Cersei's gaze darted to Tyrion. She managed a tight smile. Brother, always scheming. Tyrion bowed. Ever diligent. The council dispersed. Tywin lingered, bidding Tyrion remain. When all others filed out, he said, Your plan solves one fraction. There remains the city's unrest. Grain shipments held at dock by Tyrell excise men inflate prices. Small folk riot. Tyrion considered. Then we slash tariffs, open crown granaries, undercut Tyrell profit. The small folk will cheer your generosity, and Highgarden will think twice before withholding. Tywin's brow furrowed. Mace will protest. Let him. The Reach cannot risk the realm branding them hoarders. Tyrion's voice dropped. But we must move before Cersei manipulates shortages to elevate her faith militant. Tywin eyed him long, then nodded curtly. Do it. The next 7 days blurred. Tyrion stalked quays with clipboards, decreed weights and measures to factor sacks of barley. He bribed dockmasters, cajoled stevedores, stood upon bales of straw in drafty warehouses to promise reduction of loaf costs. Varys little birds chirped news of mood shifts. Cheers in Flea Bottom, fewer stones hurled at gold cloaks. Cersei countered. She marched barefoot through the September of Baelor, donated alms in shining silver stags, blamed grain delays on bookkeeper's folly. Yet where her silver glinted in sun, Tyrion's grain filled bellies at dusk. Hunger answered to food, not silver. On the 9th night, Tyrion returned to his chambers in Maegor's Holdfast to find the door ajar. He entered carefully. The room was dark save for a lone candle. Beside it sat Sansa Stark, her red hair unbound, eyes swimming with uneasy light. "My lady," Tyrion asked gently. She rose, curtsied. "Lord Tyrion, I needed counsel." "Counsel?" He gestured to a chair. She sat, hands twisting. "My marriage to Lord Tyrell looms," she whispered. "I fear further chains." Tears shimmered. "I thought perhaps you might speak for annulment." Tyrion's heart tightened. He had once been wed to this girl in name only. He had promised to keep her safe, yet delivered her to more schemers. He knelt beside her chair. "If I wield any power, it is yours to borrow," he said. "But the queen will not yield easily." "She hates me," Sansa murmured. "That she does." He rose. "Yet a contract bound by coin rather than faith may sunder when coin melts. Leave this with me." When she had gone, Tyrion leaned against the bedpost, mind spinning. Freeing Sansa would rattle alliances with the Reach, risk father's ire. But letting the girl suffer a second forced match gnawed at him. Perhaps there was leverage. Master Smiths from Qohor, Tyrell wedding dowry, something. He rubbed his eyes. Each problem solved fractured into sharper shards. Winter's first true snow blew in from the north like an invading host, sheathing ramparts in white. In the Great Hall, Tywin convened a midnight audience with the Iron Bank's envoys. 3 Braavosi men in purple and teal. Tyrion attended, ledgers at the ready. The negotiations stretched past cockcrow, numbers volleying like siege stones until the Braavosi finally inclined heads in agreement to his structured repayment schedule. As quills scratched final contracts, bells clanged outside. Panic sharp, a messenger burst in. "Fire in the September of Baelor, my lords." Tywin's head snapped up. "What cause?" "Unknown. Flames rise from western transept. Civilians trapped." Tywin looked to Tyrion. "Go." Tyrion sprinted, cloak billowing. Smoke rose above the rooftops, orange tongues licking the pre-dawn gloom. As he neared the September square, he saw it. Stained glass windows belched fire, molten saints weeping glass shards onto cobbles. Gold cloaks struggled with buckets, but flames roared. Near the doors, faith militant sparrows impeded water rains, chanting prayers. Tyrion elbowed through, eyes watering. "Move aside," he coughed. "Sins burn," a fanatic shrieked. Tyrion seized a sparrow by collar. "Whose sins?" "The queen would purge the wicked." "The queen." "Cersei." Tyrion's stomach lurched. He forced through smoke until he glimpsed figures huddled within. Mothers, beggars, even a few Tyrell servants. This was no divine purge. It was sabotage to discredit him, frame the lowered grain tariffs as prelude to faith's wrath. A crash above. The ceiling's timber cracked, embered shards sprayed. The crowd screamed. Tyrion shouted hoarse orders, organizing a bucket chain. Against all expectation, Reynard Waters' Rain appeared at his side, face streaked with soot, two of his reformed bandits already hauling buckets. "We'll show them we stand with the dwarf," Reynard barked to his men. Shoulder to shoulder, outlaws, small folk, and goldcloaks doused. Eventually the fire faltered, coughing itself to embers. Dawn bled pale pink across blackened stone. Tyrion's throat felt flayed, lungs scorched. His doublet was charred and mud-splattered. When Cersei arrived flanked by guards in gleaming armor, she surveyed the ruin with dramatic horror. "What tragedy!" she exclaimed. "If only the crown had not squandered coin on foreign harbors, we might fund better sept upkeep." The crowd hissed. Tyrion, soot-masked, stepped from smoke. "Tragedy indeed, sister. Luckily, unsquandered coin buys new beams." He turned, addressing the bystanders. "Hear me. The crown will rebuild this sept at my cost. Every carpenter in King's Landing earns double pay to start today." Cheering erupted, drowning Cersei's reply. Tyrion felt rain clap his shoulder. In that moment, soot and ash mingled into odd catharsis. The faith militant melted into alleys, their chants smothered by gratitude's roar. Back in the Tower of the Hand, Tywin listened behind steepled fingers as Tyrion recounted events. When the tale ended, father regarded son long and wordlessly. Finally Tywin rose, crossed the room, and poured 2 cups of water, no wine. He offered one. Tyrion accepted, surprised. "You have achieved what warfare could not," Tywin said quietly. "The small folk cheer a Lannister. I did not think to see the day." Tyrion swallowed water, throat raw. "Do you commend me, father?" "I acknowledge necessity," Tywin answered. He looked weary, the candlelight limning crow's feet. "Yet know this, every victory grows new enemies. Guard yourself." Tyrion nodded. "I have Reynard's men. They are mercenaries." "True," Tyrion conceded, "but mercenaries loyal to coin I pay." Tywin grunted. "Then keep paying." He set his cup down. "Rest now. Tomorrow the council votes to declare your harbor charter law." Tyrion left, shuffling down candlelit hallways. Sleep tugged like lead, but his mind still whirred. Sansa's plea, Cersei's fury, Iron Bank signatures drying. He did not notice the figure slipping from velvet drapes behind until a cord whipped around his throat. He gagged, hands clawing, air cut off. He glimpsed only shadow, smelled cloves and dust. Instinct shoved heel back into shin. The assailant grunted but tightened cord. Blackness tunneled. Tyrion fumbled waistbelt, fingers brushing dagger hilt gifted by Bronn. A stunted thing, more letter opener than weapon. He yanked it free, jabbed backward blindly. A hiss, the cord loosened. Tyrion stumbled, coughing ragged. He spun, brandishing tiny blade. The attacker, tall woman, lean, hooded, pressed a hand to her side. Crimson seeped between fingers. Her eyes burned in candle gloom. Without word she fled, limping into dark corridor. Tyrion sagged against wall, heart jackhammering. Guards pounded footsteps, alerted by scuffle. Bronn rounded corner first, sword bare. 7 hells. He scanned hall, cursed. "Who?" "I didn't ask," Tyrion croaked. He touched neck. The cord had carved bloody grooves. But she smelled of roses. Bronn's brow furrowed. Tyrell. Or a message pretending such. Tyrion sheathed toy dagger. Either way, the game sharpens. Moon waned to sliver. In Tywin's solar, candles guttered as father and son examined the garrote cord. Tywin's thumb brushed its inner surface. Silk threads twined with iron wire. Lysine craftsmanship. Expensive, Tyrion rasped. Tywin's face was granite. Someone paid coin for your death. Tyrion wheezed a chuckle. At least that means I'm worth something. Tywin crushed the cord into a fist. I begin to tire of my children trying to kill each other, then marry us off to strangers. Tyrion winced. Except me, perhaps. Tywin's expression softened. A flicker only. Go west back to the rock. Govern from there. Tyrion straightened despite pain. Running invites further hunts. I stand here or nowhere. Father and son locked eyes. Tywin's shoulders rose, fell. Very well. I assign Ser Adam to your constant guard. And Ser Jaime. Tyrion swallowed. Jaime has duties. He is your brother. A slow nod. I accept. Days blurred into nights as the harbor charter passed. As Iron Bank coin flowed in. As Cersei seethed behind jeweled goblets. Tyrion networked with Braavosi captains. Slurped oysters with Volantene emissaries. Arranged for Cohoric smiths to demonstrate black filigreed breastplates on the castle green, much to Joffrey's giddy delight. He visited Sansa, delivered parchment bearing annulment clauses disguised as dowry renegotiations. She read trembling, tears bright. You do this for me? I do this for decency, Tyrion said. And perhaps for the North, if ever it rises again. Sansa clasped his hands. Thank you. When word reached Highgarden that their lucrative smithing treaty hinged on Sansa's freedom, Lady Olenna Tyrell sighed and signed. Marjorie quietly approved. Marriage plans shifted. Sansa remained unwed for now, under the crown's protection, Tyrion's protection. Cersei's fury boiled. She redoubled secret funding of sparrows, sought alliances with Dornish malcontents, even attempted to lean on Varys for whispers to tarnish Tyrion. The spider, however, saw winds shifting and spun soft denials. One night, Tyrion found a note slipped beneath his door. Beware the lioness. Her claws hold wildfire.
No signature.
He burned it, but the words lodged deep. Beyond the capital, winter deepened. In snow-shrouded west, Reynard's former bandits, now wearing black and gold brigandines, patrolled mine roads. Rumors of their transformation spread, inspiring other rogue bands to petition for Lannister coin in exchange for service. Tyrion negotiated terms by Raven, the Castamere regiment. Some called them half in jest, half in awe, yet not all were swayed. A splinter of outlaws crowned themselves sons of the scourged lion, swearing to drown the rock in revenge. They raided peach orchards near Craighall, killed shepherd children. Tyrion authorized pursuit, but captured none. Blood called to blood. The past's ghosts did not fade easily. Spring's first thaw ran rivulets along cobbles when the Iron Bank's emissary returned, presenting a ceremonial iron chest as token of good faith. Inside, stacks of Braavosi notes, 1 million dragons in credit gleamed. Joffrey pranced before court, proclaiming debts conquered by his wise rule. Tywin allowed the boast. Tyrion watched, amused. That evening, drunk on Arbor Red, Joffrey summoned Tyrion to his private solar. The boy king lounged on a lion-pelt chaise, crossbow across knees. "Uncle," he lilted, voice slick, "they say you save the realm's purse. You must advise me on expenditures." Tyrion inclined head. "Your grace need only ask." Joffrey's fingers caressed the crossbow stock. "Tell me, what price for a fool's tongue?" Tyrion blinked. "I beg pardon? A beggar mocked me in street yesterday." Pulled his eyelid down, wagged tongue. Joffrey's smile was knife-sharp. "I wish to buy his tongue and mount it in a jar." The room cooled. Tyrion chose words like stepping stones across lava. "Your grace's justice is unquestioned. Yet tongues speak of rulers long after tongues are cut. Mercy buys loyalty cheaper than fear." Joffrey's brow furrowed. "You oppose me. I advise." Tyrion met the boy's gaze unflinching. "Fear fades when kings die. Loyalty lingers longer." Joffrey's lips twisted. For one taut heartbeat, Tyrion thought the crossbow might rise. Instead, the boy laughed, shrill. "Very well. I'll let the fool keep his tongue, after I nail his ears for insolence.
Tyrion boyet, bilerising.
He left quickly, heart hammering anew. Joffrey remained Joffrey, unpredictable wildfire in boy shape. If the realm was to survive, Tyrion would have to temper that blaze or bury it. One rain-soaked dusk, Tyrion stood beside Jaime atop the city walls, gazing seaward. Ships' lanterns bobbed like spectral fire. Jaime spoke softly. Father grows older. Tyrion watched gulls divert around gusts. Aren't we all? You will inherit soon, perhaps sooner than expected. Tyrion swallowed. The thought chills me. Yet you prepare. Jaime's eyes were full of odd pride. The rock flourishes, the realm mends. You do mother proud. A jolt shivered through Tyrion. No one spoke Joanna's name often. Hearing it on the wind felt like prayer. I can only hope. Jaime laid hand on parapet. When that day comes, Tyrion, know I remain your sword. Kingsguard vows be damned. Tyrion looked at his brother's maimed honorable heart, at gold hair tousled by salt wind, and felt tears he would not shed. He clasped Jaime's forearm. And I your quill. They stood so, two Lannister sons, the maimed knight and the misshapen lord, shoulder to shoulder against the world's chill. Deep beneath Casterly rock, in a tunnel newly reinforced, miners struck an old seam rumored exhausted and uncovered something stranger than gold. A vault sealed in Valyrian steel, bearing sigils none recognized. Word traveled swift to Tyrion by raven, or perhaps swifter by whispered rumor. The letter described curious black stone, warm to touch despite winter's bite, etched with serpentine patterns. Tyrion read it thrice. His mind flashed tales of forgotten Lannister origins, hints of Valyria's reach before doom, legends of secret dragonsteel caches. He penned order, seal the chamber, speak of this to none but Ser Kevin. If such trove existed, it could secure Lannister fortunes beyond coin, could threaten dragons or birth them anew. Tyrion's pulse raced, but here in King's Landing, enemies multiplied. He'd need proof, allies, and time. As he sealed the raven tube, a shadow moved beyond window. Cersei perhaps, or another assassin. The game's board had grown wider than the Seven Kingdoms maps, and every piece tilted at his throat. He tightened the scroll's wax and whispered, "Hold, Rock, I am coming." But the road west would have to wait. For now, he must survive King's Landing's lattice of daggers, debts, and wildfire hearts. The lion's roar was rising in his chest, tempered by ledgers, honed by near-death's cord. In its echo, gold rang true, steel rang truer, and family, bloody, broken, blazing, rang truest of all. Tyrion Lannister straightened cloak shoulders raw, set quill back to parchment, and wrote the next move of an endless game that began long before his birth and would likely end long after his death. And somewhere beneath snow-dusted Castamere hills, the sons of the scourged lion sharpened rusted blades and whispered anthems of drowned revenge, hearing in each shifting wind a promise that the dwarf's gold would one day melt into red water once more. Snowmelt sluiced down the gutters of King's Landing in sluggish gray trickles that reeked of dung and last night's vomit. Tyrion had never loved the city, but lately its streets felt like veins infected by slow-burning fever. The pustulant murmurs of sparrow preachers, the fitful rattle of smiths forging seven-pointed stars, the distant cough of wildfire kettles simmering behind hidden doors. He pushed through the palace yard at dawn, cloak sodden, mind already grinding. Bronn fell into step, teeth worrying a chicken leg he must have stolen from the kitchens. "Ravens from the rock," he announced around a mouthful. "Kevin says your new inspector counts 40 barrels of unprocessed or missing. Blames bandit skimming." Tyrion's shoulders tightened. 40 barrels is no skim. That's a wagon train. Likely halfway to Old Town by now. Bronn tossed the stripped bone aside, where a scrawny dog snapped it up. Reynard's lads swear ignorance. So either Reynard lies or we have thieves with keys. Tyrion's breath misted. Send reply. Double pay to whichever foreman unmasks plot. Half shares of seized loot. Greed roots out greed.
Bronn grunted assent, Botil scuffing pudles.
They ascended the tower's spiral stair. Torch smoke twined the steps like lazy serpents. Outside the council chamber, gold cloaks saluted. Tyrion paused only a heartbeat before pushing through cedar doors. Inside, Tywin stood at a window, profile severe against pewter sky. Grand Maester Pycelle shuffled scrolls, lower lip trembling as it always did before unpleasant speeches. Lord Baelish toyed with a quill like a cat might a shredded moth. Mace Tyrell was conspicuous by absence, a silent testament to recent frictions. Tywin turned. His eyes looked older in the bleached light, yet still lambent with that furnace glow. "Sit," he commanded. Tyrion obeyed. No wine greeted him, only a pewter mug of bitter willow tea, steaming like a cauldron of regrets. He sipped, tongue recoiled. At once he knew this meeting was to cut rather than soothe.
Tywin wasted no breath.
Word arrives from Sunspear. Prince Doran requests formal mediation regarding the mountain's crimes. He is willing to forego blood if the crown relinquishes rights to certain stepstone ports and agrees to wed Princess Arianne to King Joffrey. Pycelle coughed, beard snowing onto parchment. Baelish's eyes flickered bright. Tyrion set down his mug. Sunspear desires what we just sold Volantis? Convenient overlap. Indeed, Baelish purred. Were Joffrey free of betrothal we might juggle, but Marjorie's petals already clasp our thorns. Tyrion drummed fingers. If we cede those ports twice, one partner will raise fleets. Tywin's mouth thinned. Yet if we refuse, Dorne may join Storm's End rebels. Stannis stirs anew. The chamber's air pressed heavy. Tyrion weighed options. Marriage politics, Stepstone Straits, volcanic Dornish anger. Arianne and Joffrey. He stifled a grimace at the thought of the fiery princess chained to the king's capricious cruelty. But Dorne's spears could bleed the reach, and Lannister roads ran through Tyrell granaries. Offer Dorne an alternative, Tyrion said at last. Gold, trade, perhaps the promise of a Dornish-born spot on the small council. But no ports, no marriage. Pycelle harumphed. Dorne cares little for coin. Everyone cares for coin, Tyrion countered. And for pride. Promise justice, trial by combat in Sunspear, the mountain as champion. He dies, Dorne's honor sated. He lives, gods judged him innocent. Tywin's brows arched a fraction. Oberyn Martell will accept nothing less than the mountain's head. Yet trial by combat grants the illusion of fairness. And if the mountain loses? Baelish inquired sweetly. Then one monster slays another, Tyrion replied. And we dispose of a liability. Tywin nodded once. Draft terms. I will sign. Pycelle's quill scratched like a rat behind walls. Tyrion's gut churned, but he kept face placid. Sending Gregor Clegane to Dorne was throwing wildfire onto embers. Yet perhaps precisely that blaze would redirect flames away from King's Landing. If gods were kind, and they rarely were, Clegane would perish, Dorne would feast on vengeance, and Lannister debts to Martells might close. Business moved onward. Refinery quotas, new taxes on Myrish lace, rumors of Selsail carpenters smuggling Stormlander fugitives. Tyrion contributed where required, mined half in the rocks missing or half on Clegane's looming doom. At session's end, Tywin gestured him aside. They withdrew to a shadowed alcove flanked by heavy curtains. Tywin spoke low. Cersei knows of the vault. Cold struck Tyrion harder than the tea. How? A letter intercepted. Likely one of Kevin's clerks. Tyrion rubbed temples. The Valyrian vault, source of secrets still unseen, was meant to remain between himself and Kevin. If Cersei sniffed it, word could spread to every dragon-dreaming madman east of the Narrow Sea. What does she know? That it exists beneath the western tunnels, and that the ore yields spiked after its discovery. So she imagines a dragon's hoard of jewels. Or dragon eggs, Tywin warned. Tyrion exhaled through teeth. We must secure it. Yes, you will ride for the rock within the week, under pretext of investigating or theft, leaving you prey to Cersei's knives. Tywin's stare hardened. I forged those knives. I can still turn them. Tyrion searched his father's face. Lines etched deeper each season, but the lion remained carved of marble. He nodded slowly. Very well. Once Clegane departs for Dorne, I depart west. That night he shared wine with Jaime on the ramparts. Torches below cast trembling halos upon spear tips. Above, ragged clouds brawled across the moon. Jaime listened, arms folded, as Tyrion explained the vault, your theft, the need to travel. I'll escort you, Jaime said at once. Tyrion shook his head. Father needs your blade near Joffrey. Joffrey has the Kingsguard, yet he trusts only one lion among them. Tyrion's eyes lingered on his brother's golden hair. And I trust you to keep him from flaying fools for their tongues. Jaime snorted. Flaying would be improvement over nailing ears. They shared a grim laugh. Wind tugged Jaime's cloak. He turned thoughtful. When you reach the rock, be wary of old ghosts. I remember corridors echoing after Mother's passing. Her presence felt stronger than stone. Tyrion's chest tightened. I'll keep a lantern lit. Jaime clasped his forearm. In that grip passed a silent oath, heavier than battlements beneath. 2 mornings later, Gregor Clegane thundered from the city at the head of a grim procession. His warhorse snorted steam, the mountain's helm glinting like the brow of some ancient idol. Crowds gathered, throwing dung or blessings depending on fear. Cersei watched from a balcony, expression inscrutable. Tyrion watched from horseback at the plaza's edge, noting how her eyes never left the mountain until dust swallowed him. Reynard Waters rode beside Tyrion, new brigandine shining. That man spreads terror like manure, he said. He is fertilizer for Dornish justice, if gods smile, Tyrion replied. And for Lannister politics regardless. At the city gate they parted ways. Tyrion's smaller column, 20 Lannister guards, a handful of harbor clerks, brawn, and 4 of Reynard's best, headed west under skies fickle as court favor. Joffrey offered no farewell. Cersei dispatched only a courier bearing polite lies. Jaime clasped arms at dawn and pressed into Tyrion's palm a small silver lion head. Luck, he said. Tyrion pocketed it, heart aching, then turned his stallion toward the King's Road once more. The voyage west felt longer than years prior. Rain lashed for 3 days, driving them to squat villages whose innkeepers eyed crimson cloaks with greed and dread. On the 4th morning, scouts reported a fortified camp flying no colors but bristling with pikes across the route. Tyrion called halt beneath drizzling sky. Reynard and Bronn joined him at the fore. How many? Tyrion asked. 100, maybe more, Reynard said. Discipline looks tight. Not rabble. Could be mercenaries, Bronn offered. Could be sons of the scourged lion grown numerous. Tyrion rubbed his chin. Too many to bribe. We need parley. He rode forward flanked by Reynard and a single banner bearer. A hail of arrows thunked the mud at 20 paces, warning shot. From behind barricades of felled logs emerged a man in boiled leather, helm adorned with rusty lion crest scored through. Scar tissue puckered his jaw. I am Heron the Half-Claw, he called, voice like gravel. Speak or die. Tyrion reined in, water dripping from hat brim. I am Tyrion of House Lannister, heir to Casterly Rock. Stand aside and no blood need spill. Laughter rippled through the barricade. Heron spat. Heir, he says, a misshapen usurper. The rock belongs to lions, not twisted dwarfs. Reynard bristled, but Tyrion raised hand. And yet here I sit this horse whilst you hide behind logs. If gods favored straight backs alone, why has the mountain never knelt? A murmur. Heron's good eye narrowed. We seek redress for drowned kin, for mines run with blood. Each barrel of gold your house hauls is a coffin unlidded. Tyrion's patience burned thin. You want justice. I offer work and coin. Take it or test blades.
Haren heftiet axhaft.
Coin cannot exhume a child, nor can your rebellion. Tyrion's voice cracked like whiplash. But it can make new orphans. Choose. Rain softened to drizzle. For a moment Tyrion thought he saw doubt flicker above the barricade. Then a horn blared from rear ranks, defiant. Heron snarled, raised axe. Loose! Arrows shrieked. Tyrion cursed, wheeled horseback. Guards closed, the clash began.
Stilrang, Mut splashet.
Bronn vaulted from saddle, carving arcs with long sword. Reynard's spear skewered a charging axeman. Tyrion retreated behind shield wall, heart hammering. He counted defenders. Harren's men lacked archers' depth. They had numbers but no discipline. He spotted a shaky flank where logs gave to swampy ground. He rode to the sergeant. Feint left, break their right with pikes. Then encircle. Orders conveyed. Formation shifted. Bronn Sellsword's feigned retreat. Enemy pressed. Reynard's riders swept wide, hoofs splashing through mire to flank. Panic spread. Soon the barricade sagged under rout. Harren fought like cornered boar, cleaving helmet and skull alike until Bronn slipped under guard and stabbed groin upward. The half-claw collapsed screaming. Battle ended. Corpses littered churned mud. Crows would feast. Tyrion dismounted near Harren's twitching form. Rain glazed blood pools. "Mercy!" Harren gasped, eyes rolling. "I offered that once." Tyrion knelt, voice low. "Yet know this. I take no joy in killing men who should mine gold, not graves." He signaled Reynard. "Bind survivors. Offer same choice. Copper wage or copper grave." Reynard saluted. Bronn wiped blade on a dead man's cloak. "You bleed soft, my lord." Tyrion met his gaze. "Soft is cheaper than graves." He straightened. "Now burn the barricade. We ride." 2 more days and they reached Lannisport, where gulls wheeled and salt scoured memories fresh. Tyrion took no rest, riding straight through the harbor's maze of warehouses to the rock's great eastern gate. Horns pealed, chains clanked, the portcullis rose. Within stood Ser Kevin, fur-lined cloak, face lined deeper than Tyrion remembered. They embraced briefly. "In quick," Kevin urged. "News worsens." Tyrion peeled off soaked gloves as they strode through torchlit halls. "Ore theft." "More than theft." "Explosion." The word halted Tyrion mid-step. "Where?" "Near the Valyrian vault." Ice spread along Tyrion's spine. They hastened down spiraling stairs, past guards whose eyes flicked fearfully. Deeper they descended, air growing damp, salty. Far below, a circular stone door loomed. Once pristine, now blackened around edges, cracks spiderwebbing the arch. Kevin waved torches. The light danced over scorch marks. "Fused powder," Kevin said. "Barrels stolen from quarry stores." Blast failed to breach fully. The inner door held. Tyrion ran hands across cracked mortar, felt residual heat. "When?" 3 nights passed. Caught 2 culprits. Miners bribed by unknown patron. Both dead. Poison hidden in bread. Tyrion cursed softly. Enemies reached farther than expected. Maybe Cersei, maybe sons of scourged lion, maybe foreign aspirants to dragons yet unborn. He turned to Kevin. "We must reinforce with Valyrian steel fittings. Double guard, silence rumors." "I've already sealed tunnels," Kevin said. But whispers spread. A room of dragon glass, a silver egg. Truth travels slower than lies. Tyrion rubbed eyes gritty with sleepless miles. "Show me inside." They unlocked heavy bronze pins. Gears groaned. The circular door slid inward, revealing a small chamber no larger than a sep's apse. Walls lined in fused glassy black stone. At its center rested a squat stone sarcophagus banded with glyphs. Tyrion had seen its description but not the thing itself. Now standing before it, he felt as if all the heat of the world had drained away, leaving crisp stillness. Silver flecks swirled under the surface like stars in well water. He knelt, touching glyphs, Valyrian letters his studies rendered vaguely. "Blood binds fire, fire frees blood." He breathed. "What lies within?" "No one knows," Kevin answered. "We dare not crack it." "Wise." Tyrion rose. "For now, no one else must approach. We will draft runes of warning, carve new locks of steel." Wake stone. Could it reference the legendary dragon binder? If so, eggs or bones might lie within. Yet notes cautioned, horns that wake also break. He resolved to leave stone sleeping, at least until realm's fires cooled. Then a raven came, tail feathers blotted, message from King's Landing. sealed in gold. Tyrion broke wax. Father taken ill. Cersei assumes regency. Return at once. The letters blurred. Tywin ill, perhaps poisoned. Cersei perched on the throne's edge like a cat above a mouse hole. He slammed fist on desk. Kevin rushed in. Tyrion thrust letter. Kevin paled. Gods save us. Ready fastest horses, Tyrion ordered. I ride east at dawn. I come as well. Tyrion shook head. The rock needs you. If both heirs vanish, rebellion will bloom. But alone, I'll take Reynard, Bronn, 10 of your best. He glanced to sarcophagus. And leave the vault sealed. Kevin clasped his shoulder. Guard your life, nephew. Tyrion mustered wry smile. Lannisters pay debts. I'm too valuable to die. The return gallop felt feverish. Villages blurred in dawn haze. Rivers crossed at flood-risky fords. Horses lathered. On the second night, they reached a coaching in near Lake Wendyish town. While guards watered mounts, Tyrion slid onto a bench by hearth, swirling watered ale, mind chewing the possibilities. Reynard joined him, eyes scanning room. Men speak of Queen Regent's new decrees. Faith militant marches streets already. Tyrion stared into flames. She wastes no time. And Tywin, no word, which means either recovering or silenced. Bronn ambled over Saturday, saw a bird with purple band in stable. Valentine Courier. That could mean Iron Bank funds arrived, Tyrion mused, or more exotic sponsorship. Either way, Bronn grinned. Someone wealthy stays nearby. Sleep came fitful, haunted by visions of sarcophagus cracking, of Tywin coughing blood, of Cersei crowned in wildfire light. Dawn's chill woke them. They rode hard. Mid-morning a messenger met them on King's Road, livery of House Tarly. He bore sealed parchment. Lord Tywin stable, recovering from sudden palsy. Queen Regent orders all roads closed to armed companies. Tyrion Lannister shall present himself under escort. Tyrion cursed. She aims to isolate me. Bronn spat. We gut the escort.
No.
We comply. Appear weak, strike strong. At dusk, gold cloaks led by Ser Osmond Kettleblack met them outside the mud gate. Tyrion surrendered arms save dagger. Bronn and Reynard's men allowed only pairs inside. Remainder camped. The city felt changed. Faith banners draped balconies. High septons preaching at intersections guarded by armored zealots. Bread lines snaked streets despite grain stores full. Gossip of Cersei's charity overshadowed murmurs of wildfire caches discovered beneath Flea Bottom. False rumors, Tyrion guessed, seeded to justify faith patrols. They guided him straight to the Red Keep, not to Tywin's chambers but throne room. There the Iron Throne loomed, barbs glinting red in torchlight like dried scabs. Cersei reclined on a cushioned chair before it, robed in crimson velvet embroidered with blazing stars. Joffrey stood beside, expression smug. High Septon Hister bent near her ear. Tyrion bowed stiffly. Your grace, sister. Cersei's smile sliced. Little brother returns. How dutiful. Joffrey leaned forward. I named Mother Queen Regent while grandfather sleeps. Now I hold court. Tyrion's gaze flicked to Tywin's absence. May the gods speed his recovery. They might, Cersei purred. If his heir relinquishes treasonous ambitions. Tyrion arched brow. Treason? Pray elaborate before you clap me in irons. Cersei rose, voice ringing. You looted the crown to pad private armies, the so-called Castamere Regiment. You conspired with rebel miners. You withheld dragon relics from your sovereign. Murmurs among lords summoned to witness. Tyrion fought to keep tone bland. All armies raised serve House Lannister. Miners now protect gold instead of stealing it. As for relics, my sister references rumors. Cersei gestured. 2 guards dragged forward a burlap sack. She appended it, scattered across the marble-rolled chunks of black glassy stone. Dragon glass Tyrion had stored in vault side chamber for study. His pulse thudded. Seized from one of your wagons, she crowed. Proof of dragon hoarding. Tyrion shrugged. Obsidian is common in volcanic lands. The Night's Watch uses it for arrowheads. But your wagons rolled concealed, Cersei pressed. What else do you hide beneath the rock? Only foundations strong enough to hold our family. His tone sharpened. And if you splinter them in jealous frenzy, the realm falls on all of us. Gasped. The High Septon frowned. Joffrey's hand twitched near his belt knife. Cersei's eyes blazed. You dare accuse me? I speak truth. Tyrion stepped forward, chains rattling. He'd not noticed shackles being clasped, yet there they were, cunningly fastened. Release me to see father. If he condemns me, I will kneel. Cersei glanced to Septon. The old man nodded gravely. The Queen Regent shows mercy superior to rumor. Let the dwarf face trial by the seven. Tyrion's stomach laced. A faith trial, a spectacle where zeal could brand him demon before evidence uttered. He licked lips. Very well. I demand champion.
Champion, Joffrey Giggold.
Blood. Cersei's grin returned. The crown accepts. Trial in 7 days. Tyrion bowed again, almost toppling under chain weight. As guards escorted him toward dungeons, he cast final glance at dragon glass shards. They glowed in torchlight like midnight scales, a reminder that secrets seldom stay sleeping. The black cells smelled of mildew, fear, and years' worth of urine. Tyrion sat on rough pallet, wrist sore. A guttering lamp cast feeble glow. Hours bled. Footsteps approached. The door creaked. Jaime slipped inside, cloak carefully concealing his presence. 7 hells, Jaime whispered. What has she done? Tyrion smiled crookedly. Tried to rid herself of burdensome brothers. He explained accusations, trial by faith. Jaime paced, fist clenching. I will champion you. Tyrion shook head. Kingsguard cannot fight faith without forfeiting vows. And they might bar you anyway. Bronn. They'll claim Sells-word's oath impure. A shadow fell across threshold. Varys entered, robes whispering. Apologies for lateness, he murmured. Cells are labyrinthine. Tyrion gestured. Have the spiders brought silk? Varys produced folded parchment. A list of names, possible champions with reputations of piety. Jaime snatched parchment, scanned.
Ser Valon's one?
Loras Tyrell? Both loyal to Cersei now. Tyrion rubbed temples. Faith will permit only those of spotless worship. Varys lowered voice. There is one who prays nightly, who owes you life. Reynard Waters. Tyrion considered. A bastard with outlaw past. Past forgiven in light of service, Varys countered. And faith loves redemption tales. Jaime's brow furrowed. He's fierce, but mountain he is not. Tyrion sighed. Mountain rides in Dorne. Cersei cannot call him. Nor could she, Varys added. Rumor says Oberyn Martell met Clegane at Sunspear's gate. Only ashes returned. Jaime's mouth parted. He's dead. Varys smiled thinly. Ask the flames that licked the jousting yard. A wave of relief coursed through Tyrion. One less beast looming. Still, faith could choose champion among their own fanatics. He met Varys' eyes. Arrange Reynard's admittance. Quietly, Varys bowed. Jaime gripped Tyrion's shoulders. I'll watch from stands. Blade ready if treachery. Tyrion swallowed against lump. Pray it remains show. 7 days passed like brittle glass panes, each shattering into next. Tyrion's cell saw visits from Kevin. Arrived furious at news. From Bronn. Eager, but faith refused him. From Sansa, bringing bread and soft voice of encouragement. And from a silent messenger who left a token. The silver lion head Jaime had given, now twisted off its pin. A warning or a promise? Tyrion tucked it away. On the morning of trial, sun blazed unseasonably bright. The dragon pit's ruined arena served courtroom. Broken stands lined with masses, faith banners flapping. High Septon presided on makeshift dais. Surrounded by silent sisters, Cersei sat regally robed, Joffrey bouncing restless at her side. Tywin absent, recovering or prevented. Tyrion entered shackled, escorted by gold cloaks who looked as uncertain as he felt. Murmurs rippled through crowd. Dwarf, demon spawn, dragon hoarder. He ignored them. In center pit, 2 circles drawn in lime marked combat bounds. On one side stood Dennis Sarsfield, a knight of the faith, long gray mustache twitching. On the other waited Reynard Waters Rain, crimson surcoat over mail, spear but grounded. Eyes met, Reynard nodded once. Tyrion exhaled. High Septon's voice bellowed litany. Accusations, rites of divine judgment, prayers to the Seven. At last he cried, "Let champions speak." Sarsfield raised sword. "I defend holy faith and crown from dwarf's corruption." Reynard slammed spear to earth. "I defend Lord Tyrion, who raised me from vengeance to honor." Cheers, jeers. The Septon intoned final blessing, withdrew. Bells tolled. Combat began. Sarsfield advanced, shield high. Reynard circled, measuring. They clashed. Sword rang on spear shaft. Reynard jabbed low. Sarsfield parried, riposted high. Neither gained early edge. Sweat gleamed. Crowd roared. Tyrion's heart hammered. Each block, each feint felt tethered to his throat. Reynard feigned left, spun, slicing spearhead across Sarsfield's calf. Blood spurted. Crowd gasped. Sarsfield snarled, lunged, shield bash sending Reynard stumbling. He pressed, pommel cracking helm visor. Reynard reeled. Spear wavered. "Hold, Reyn," Tyrion whispered. With desperate pivot, Reynard ducked, swept spear in low arc. Sarsfield tried leap but too late. Ashwood haft smashed ankle. Knight collapsed to knee. Reynard seized moment, driving spear point at armpit gap. Steel pierced mail. Sarsfield howled. Sword clattered to dust. Silence, then thunder of voices. High Septon raised hands. "The warrior has spoken. Tyrion Lannister is innocent before the Seven." Tyrion sagged, chains clanking. Joffrey shouted protest, but ritual binding vow ended dispute. Cersei's face twisted, anger and something like fear. She rose, gown swirling, disappeared behind dais. Bells pealed again. Reynard approached Tyrion, blood-flecking face, dropped to knee. Tyrion clasped his shoulder. "You have earned more than coin today." Reynard grinned wearily. "Mayhaps a new song for Castamere." Jaime leapt over rail, embracing Tyrion. Cheers swelled. In stands, small folk chanted, "Lion redeemed! Lion redeemed!" Tyrion's gaze swept arena. Twin sensations of triumph and dread. For each cheering throat, another plotted vengeance. The game stretched on, but for this breath he lived. Tywin's chambers smelled of cedar and herbal poultices. He reclined on silk cushions, complexion pale but eyes alert. Tyrion entered, freshly bathed, robe of black and gold. "I hear you survived," Tywin rasped. "Stubbornness is hereditary," Tyrion replied. Tywin's lip twitched. "Cersei overreached. I will curtail her." "She already wields faith," Tyrion warned. "Dismissing her outright risks civil zeal. Then we bleed her influence slow." Tywin gestured weakly to desk. "Sit." Tyrion did. Tywin's voice came softer than he'd ever heard. "I feel time shortening. The rock, the realm, must rest on stone, not shifting sand." Tyrion swallowed. "I stand ready. Guard the vault. Whatever lies inside could remake us, or destroy us. I will." Eyes met, golden to mismatched. Years of resentment and pride flowed silent. At last Tywin whispered, "Joanna would be proud." Tyrion's breath caught. "I can only hope." Tywin closed eyes, exhaustion overcame. Tyrion rose, pulled blanket higher, and left with heart heavy as ore. That evening, Cersei summoned Tyrion privately. He went armed with wit and silver lion pin. Her solar glowed candlelit. She poured wine herself.
No attendance.
She handed him goblet. "Congratulations," she said, voice calm. "You bested me fairly."
Tyrion sipped cautiously. "No poison bite."
"Faith vindicated me. You remain queen." She paced to window, stared out where wildfire lamps lit Blackwater ships. Father lives yet. Someday he will not. She turned, green eyes shining. Let us not kill each other before then. Tyrion studied her expression. Sincerity warred with calculation. He set goblet down. Truce. For now. She extended hand. He took it, her fingers cold. My son needs advisors, not battlefield, she said, and the realm needs peace. They released hands. Uneasy armistice forged. When Tyrion left, he saw the future unraveling on two threads. One of fragile familial accord, another of ancient stone sarcophagus humming in western darkness, awaiting key of blood and fire. He felt poised between them like a juggler with flaming torches in storm wind. But he was Tyrion of House Lannister, heir of the Rock, survivor of pits and poisons, dwarf and lion both. And the game demanded play. He retired to chambers, opened ledger, sharpened quill, and penned new decrees. Funds for harbor orphanages, tariffs easing for Riverlander grain, letters to Dorne praising Oberyn's victory and inviting peace banquet. Each stroke wove the realm tighter to his cause. Far below ground, in vault of fused glass, the glyphs glowed faint red a moment. Perhaps trick of torch, perhaps something older stirring. The sarcophagus waited, silent. And in distant snows of the north, the cry of a lone wolf echoed, unheard by southern ears yet vibrating through bones of old magic, foretelling seasons when no lion, dwarf or queen would matter beside the coming night. But that Tyrion knew not yet. Tonight he wrote, planned, endured. Tomorrow he would rise again. Small in stature, yet looming over gold and stone like a clever shadow. The Seven Kingdoms slept uneasy while quills scratched and torches guttered. And somewhere across moonlit rooftops a young girl called Sansa gazed at a broken constellation, daring for first time to imagine dawn might not bring more chains. So the wheel turned, slow and inexorable, grinding pride and power alike, and Tyrion Lannister. Scarred neck ringed by memory of cord, pocket heavy with twisted silver lion, drove his quill onward, forging words into walls thicker than any castle stone, walls that might, with luck, outlast blood and fire and all the dreaming ghosts of Valyria.